Hi, welcome to the Daiku Podcast. I'm Gary Snow. Joining me today is Philip Jensen, the creator of NECROVENGE, a solo TTRPG about rebuilding your dungeon and getting your revenge on those pesky adventurers. Philip, welcome.
Thank you, Gary. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's always fun to see a creator that's like doing some really cool stuff, and I really like the look of NECROVENGE, and it's got that kind of Mork Borgy vibe, which you're like really lean into, and I think it's like super cool. So before we get started talking about that, though, just tell us like a little bit about yourself and how you got into this crazy little hobby.
Yeah. So I'm Philip. Normally in English, I tend to go by Phil simply because Philip sounds so pretentious in English, I find. But nevertheless, my normal pitch is that I'm an art director by day and a TTRPG designer by night. So I work in commercials now. Overseeing a lot of brilliant work from a lot of brilliant specialists doing all kinds of weird stuff. So this is my time to sort of try having my fingers in it myself. In terms of the hobby, I'm fairly new, if I can still say that. I've been saying that for the last 3 or 4 years, but I think I officially fell into the pit trap of TTRPGs back in 19 when I was invited to play some OSE over at a friend's house, and then around the same time another friend of mine started a 5e campaign, and then COVID happened and we played a bunch online. I got my hands on a Merkbow and I tried to run that as well. So that was sort of my that's like briefly my my way into this hobby.
And from being an art director and like, I do a little bit of like brand and communications and that kind of stuff, not like specifically art director, but how is it for you as far as you're used to having clients going, I want this and I want that, and like do this and do that, and like make the logo bigger and all those things that people like us probably find very annoying. And this is your opportunity to like kind of do exactly what you want. How has it been for that?
Yeah, you're totally right. It's like if you never worked in design or advertising and you've seen the meme make the logo bigger, you would think that that was just a fun thing that we say. But in reality, it's like that every single day. Someone will ask you to enlarge the logo, despite how big you made it. Um, it's been really thrilling, and it's been weird at the same time. It's so what do you say? It's such a captivating feeling to write something, and then when your editor tells you you should edit this, you can just say no, I don't wanna. I want to keep the bad joke in there, or I meant to write it like that, or I meant to have it look like that, and stuff sort of like that. So yeah, it's been such a nice feeling, and it's yeah, I'm just here for more, to be honest.
Right on. And
Yeah.
so this is not your first product. And how did you gotta get your toes dipped into the pool of design?
Yeah. Well, I was I think it was yeah, never mind. A couple of years ago, I was I stumbled upon the Yellow Book Merkbow, which a lot of people know by now, and I pretty much bought it because it looked really cool. So as an AD in my job, I buy a lot of different stuff that's just like looks nice or feels nice, and I show it off to colleagues and we chat about it. And so I bought the book, not meaning to play it, but just simply because I thought it looked so well made, and the love sort of just oozed out of it. Then I had it sitting on the shelf, and I read a little bit in it and stuff. And then eventually, I got listening to a podcast. They threw a jam. So it was like a one-page adventure jam called the Cold and Deathless Jam, and the pitch was that you could get them to play it on air. They would play the top 5 adventures. So I thought that was really cool, and I had a weekend where I didn't have anything to do, so I sat down and I designed like a very simplistic black and white adventure, which is still online. Haven't read it in forever, so I don't know if I can vouch for it, but but they played it, and just that feeling of hearing someone play something you wrote was just like wildly addictive. So yeah, I haven't looked back since.
Right on. So let's just jump right in and put NECROVENGE up on the screen here. And so it's currently kickstarting. I think it's 14 or so days left, and as of August 13th. And it's well funded, and you got a lot of good backers. And where are we at as far as the campaign goes?
Yeah. So it's sitting at just short of 300 backers, which is amazing. It's as you say, it's been funded. This is my second Kickstarter campaign, and I don't set the goal very high simply because I calculate how much I need to get the lowest minimum of books printed, and I sort of set it there because this is a hobby for me, obviously. So I just want the physical book out there, and if I can get that, I'm happy. So that happened within an hour, which was really amazing. So we are doing quite well. We are reaching the next stretch goal, which I think I'll get back to in a in a couple of slides.
Well, and then talk to us, so tell us about NECROVENGE. When did the idea come to you, and kind of how did it come to be?
Yeah. It's been sitting on my hard drive for some time now. I think I named my folders according to the month. So it's 03/2023 NECROVENGE. So it's over a year and almost a half now since I thought about it. And as you see on the slide here, it says it's a standalone solo game where you, as a failed necromancer, set out to get revenge on those who have wronged you. So the whole idea is that you are now the evil person. We always delve into the dungeons to try to kill someone in there and get their loot, and I just thought it could be so fun as a game premise to sort of turn that on its head. So that was what I set out to do originally, and why I haven't launched it a year ago when I got the idea was that I thought it was going to be sort of a resource management game about you sort of managing your dungeon, a bit like the computer game Dungeon Keeper. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
I think it was a 90s game, and I played it as a kid. But yeah, I thought it was going to be like a heavy management game. And I kind of wrote that. I have it as a draft, but it didn't feel exciting to me. So I rewrote the game to be more sort of story focused. So that's why it's taking a little bit.
Well, and I always say the bad guys in the dungeon are the heroes of their own worlds, right? They think that what they're doing is the right thing to do, and it's not that they're setting out to be bad. It's just that that's what they do. So this is a fun opportunity to kind of lean into that and actually explore the mentality behind it. But just tell us. Well, we already talked a little bit about who you are, so sorry if I probably skipped over that.
No.
So here's some of the inspirations that you mentioned. And maybe just talk through some of them and how each one of them kind of influenced it.
Yeah. So originally, starting from the left, there's a TTRPG called Dark Fort, which is published as the original Mørkborg. It's a super short, 4-page or like a double-page game where you roll a lot of dice and you're constantly random generating games. So that was the
is that the original? I didn't actually know the history behind that, to be honest with you.
It has a small credit note in it where it says that it was the original Mørkborg, which is why it's called Dark Fort, because that's what Mørkborg means. So I don't know if it's true, but it says on the thing, so I hope so. But that was sort of, so that's, I think this scale I'm trying to show here is basically from rolling dice and telling no story all the way over to telling a lot of story and hardly rolling any dice. And all 5 of these games are amazing and have had influence on my gaming experience. And the middle one, I put a note because apparently it's called Fighting Fantasy in English. It's called Svær Trolldom, where I'm from, which is swords and wizardry, but that's something completely different. So, but it's a game book. It's a choose your own adventure book. If you don't know it,
and this would probably be a good time, and I should have mentioned it earlier, is that you're actually in Denmark, which
so I could have.
I don't know if I mentioned that or we talked about it earlier, but I just thought I'd throw that in there right now. So sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fair. I had it as a I should have mentioned that as well. Yeah. So so we have that, which is a game book, choose your own adventure. You have the dice rolling fun all the way to the left, and you have the sort of journally game that 1,000-year-old vampire and the Marcus is. And while I think those 2 examples are really good examples because they're really fun, and I have the small. I have made my own version of the Dark Fort, so you can go check that out later if you want to. It's free. Called Mørk Fængsel, which means dark prison. But basically, I want to try to combine this. I want to have the fun of rolling dice, but at the same time, I want to have a little bit of story. So I'm trying to mesh those 2 together into something a little different than a choose your own adventure. So I'm taking all the good stuff from these different genres, and I'm trying to put them together into a game. Yeah.
And just tell us. So how are you going to
sorry?
achieve? No, I was just going to ask. So what's the process for doing the game? That like there's all the dice and cards. Walk us through the process.
Yeah. So very simply, you have like a standard deck of playing cards, and you simplified. You pick one, you flip the page to you go looking for the suits. You can see the 2 spreads here in the top left corner. We have the colored suits. When it matches your suit, you go down into the text and you read the prompt and you read the consequences. Maybe you roll dice. Maybe you elaborate on the consequences. Maybe there's a choice for you to make. And so the whole idea is that it sort of progresses a little like a choose your own adventure, but meanwhile you are building your dungeon on a piece of paper and you're building your character on a piece of paper. And the further down the story you go, the less and less descriptive the prompts will be, and the more general they will be, meaning that the prompts will still guide your story, but they will take a back seat, and so the story will become your own eventually. So you can choose your revenge in the end. Yeah.
And I can't help but think, and you probably have promoted the fact that this is a perfect fit to slot into your own non-solo game. So if you have a Morkborg adventure and you're like, I don't know what to do anymore, I'm just kind of running out of ideas, you can actually use this to create a dungeon that the players can go into, and it gives you a little bit more history. And I'm assuming as the runner of the game that you kind of know that history intuitively, so that you can actually share that with the players just through the gameplay.
Yeah, that was also one of the inspirations for the game, actually, that when I did my first Kickstarter, which was a scene, a very traditional dungeon, I got to play that and write that so many times that I knew it intuitively, and that feeling of sitting down and knowing a dungeon like in your heart is just so nice. So I hope that by you living through the dungeon, you could eventually know it so well that you could play it without having to look and flip pages and all that. So it's a fun bonus of the whole game, which makes it compatible with Mørkborg, because obviously it's a solo game. And then I'm also sort of leaning into the humor of Mørkborg. I'm leaning into the tone, and I'm drizzling in small cues that players of Mørkborg will know and probably smile at, and other people will still be able to understand and play the game. So it's not like you have to be a die-hard Mørkborg fan to play this, but for the people who are, it'll not make the experience any worse.
And then just looking at like the layout and everything like that, and your art direction, like kind of how much did you have a hand in all of it? Do you do the images? Do you do the layout? Do you just do the branding?
Yeah. So I'm planning on doing most, if not all, of the illustration myself, and I'm doing the layout. And yeah, I've been doing all the materials so far. So let's see where we end up. I might get some help from some really talented illustrators, but I've been focusing a lot of my spare time on drawing to get to a stage where I'm comfortable with including more of my own stuff. So it's probably going to be mostly me, and then obviously, since I am, as you said, in Denmark, I will have the luxury of having an incredible skilled editor help me with the words so that we can get them into shape and make sure that it reads and flows as well as possible. So yeah. Then weirdly enough, I put this picture in the middle of everything.
Well, I can't help but notice the binding on it. That's a little bit unusual. I don't know what they call that, where it's not like attached at the spine. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's called a Swiss or a Euro binding, and it was something I did for my first scene. So basically, as you correctly said, when you open it, it'll not attach to the spine, but to the back cover, and that just makes it so that when it lies down on a table, it'll not collapse itself.
Yeah, lies flat, and people can reference it a little bit easier.
Exactly. So I knew having a solo game where you are going to read a lot or use the prompts a lot and roll dice or draw cards, I would love to have a book that's actually just sitting flush at the table. So
Yeah.
this is a stretch goal, but we are very, very near. We need 250 backers, physical backers, which is a weird metric, but that's an attempt, an experiment from my side, to do stretch goals a little bit differently. And I think we're sitting at 215 or something like that. So if it continues as well, we will have reached this hopefully before everything ends. Yeah.
And I think I saw that you just reached the foil stretch goal.
Yeah. So there's
cool.
going to be some foil inside the book, which is going to be really nice. Yeah. And these are the sorry.
No,
sorry,
go
Gabby.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say these are the different tiers of the Kickstarter. So it's very standard stuff. There's a PDF level you could pledge at. There's the book where you get the book in the PDF. Then there's a book and a character sheet and a PDF. Then I attempted to do a limited edition version, something I haven't done before. But I had a good chat with my print house who deemed it possible. So that's really exciting. That's going to be like faux leather, and then with like a gold embossed sigil on it, which is going to look really, really, really neat. And then of course limited with character sheet, and then I have this stupid joke which is like, you get everything and I'll sign it with blood, and and I put an asterisk saying that perhaps it'll be red ink, but we'll see. I have a friend who's a doctor, so it might be possible.
Well, that came in. The question came in of is signing actual blood extra? Well, that could be a good shtick. You never know. Like that might be a thing. And once cloning technology gets a little bit more advanced, we'll have a whole bunch of Philips running around designing games all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. That's a benefit I hadn't considered.
And you also have a Discord. The links are in the description of the video for those that want to come join. And it's not specifically about NECROVENGE itself, but just a community of people that are making games.
Yeah. So I'm not using my Discord to sort of promote my own games that much. I'm using it as a small hub where you get to post mostly visual stuff. and people are encouraged to critique it and to like copy paste it and draw on top to show and help each other grow as mostly graphic designers in TTRPGs. And it felt important to me because sorry, there's a little bit of a story coming here, Gary, but this whole hobby of doing design started for me back in 2001 when someone, of course legally on Messenger, sent me Adobe Photoshop. I must have been like 10 at the time, and it was because some Danes started a forum for Photoshop. So we had this wonderful echo chamber of just people running crazy with Photoshop, and there was no tutorials, there was no nothing. So we would just help each other immensely and take each other's work and draw on it and throw it back to people and stuff like that. So it's kind of that, it's my attempt of sort of giving a little bit of that back. And so far it's going quite well. There's a lot of really good and talented people on there who are willing to help, which is just really, really wholesome, and it makes me happy every day that people are active in there. So if you are doing TTRPGs and you want some feedback on some graphic stuff, feel free to drop by and throw it in there.
Cool. Well, I'll have the link in the description, and I would be remiss if I didn't say I actually also have a Discord. Kind of sleepy for the last I don't know, 6 or 7 months or so. That kind of sometimes happens, and I'm hoping to dust it off. But very similar process. It's not like all about me, although it is about the designer space and helping people promote it in particular, and getting feedback and art and that kind of stuff. So I'll also include my link, if you don't mind me also throwing that into the mix there.
No, I should join that.
Yeah, totally. But like I said, it's been a little sleepy lately, but I think when I have a little bit more time here, after I get a couple projects of my own a little bit off my plate, then I can devote more time to that. So we have the Kickstarter, also links in the description. And I should also bring up the fact that we have your itch page. So let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the stuff that you've done in the past, and also maybe you could talk about the Good Sleep Collective.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, let's start there. The Good Sleep Collective is a group of European game designers who needed a Discord where we were all awake at the same time. So yeah, it's no secret that the biggest part of the scene is in the US. So whenever you join a Discord, you frantically write something in the morning, no one answers, and then you get home from the job and a few answers, and then you go to sleep and there's like 1,000 people who have answered. So it's nice for us to sort of come together and help each other in a in a place where we can chat at the same time. That aside, it's also there's also some like law stuff and stuff that's a little bit different over here in Europe. So we've been helping with everything, but it's a small and nice tight-knit group with a lot of good people that most people would probably recognize.
So, well, all your stuff on the page here, it looks very fun and more Borgy and cyborgy. And I saw I couldn't help but earlier I went through what you categorized as well-designed itch pages, and I totally agree with you. I wish Kickstarter had a little bit more customization like the way itch does. I really love itch for that aspect of it for designers out there. However, the downside is the discoverability on itch is like atrocious. So unless you like really drive people to it, it's very tough to get eyeballs on your itch games. But yeah, I totally agree. And there's I'm a art aficionado as far as I love seeing clever design and good art direction and all that kind of stuff, which NECROVENGE, I'm happy to say, falls into that category. So very well done. It looks awesome. And I can't wait to see it when it finally comes out. And do you have any plans after that, or are you just kind of hoping to get through this one and see how it goes?
I think I have I have too many plans for the time being, but but I think I put a purposely long timeline on this game since I have a very demanding full-time job next to this. So I'll need the time to make sure that I can deliver a proper product. But I'm sort of itching to do a bunch of other stuff. And for some reason, it keeps being in the Merkborg realm. It's not purposely done, but it just seems to draw me apparently. So yeah.
Well, Philip, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing the passion that you're putting towards your game and other games that are going to be down the pipeline. So I just want to say thanks again for coming on, and best of luck for the Kickstarter.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And if you are an indie game designer, no D&D here, just indie games, and you want to come on Game Pitch and talk about whatever you've got cooked up in your mind, feel free to go to daikugames.com/gamepitch and fill out the form there and tell them Game Pitch Gary sent ya.
Hey friends, are you looking for a game that is not Dungeons or Dragons? Well, we got exactly what you need at Daiku Game Pitch. We got zines, we got OSR, we got adventures. But wait, there's more. We got solo games, we got journaling games, we even got card games and dice games. Oh hell, I don't even know what kind of game this is, but we got it. And if you visit us in the next 2 minutes, you're gonna get all the zine quests, zine months, itch fund and backer kits, Kickstarters that you can handle. Visit us at www.daikugames.com and tell them a Game Pitch Gary sent ya.